How do we use it? So right now, when the scientists enter data, or how do you say it? So historically, a scientist would go into the lab, they measure something like a chemical, and then they would take the data and copy it into Excel sheet. What we've done is we've created a tunnel to the cloud. So when they measure something, a file is outputted, and we put it into AWS, and then we actually use the Quickbase API and then write it out to Quickbase. And then we dashboard their basic analytics and aggregate statistics for essentially quality. High throughput development of like just like building like a database essentially and relating things quickly. Yeah. I would say that honestly, I work a lot with the API, and there was like some changes to API, like like I think this past year, earlier this year, and it was not how do you say it, formally announced the changes were going to happen, and it broke some of our pipelines that I just kind of talked about. So maybe like kind of like communicating those technical details more so. I know I've already talked to people that said they're working on it, but also like I feel like the API could like there's a disconnect between like the API verbiage versus like the UI, the front end aspect. So like field types are actually labeled differently than in the front end, like in the UI. Like instead of like multi text, it's like maybe multiple choice or some like there's a disconnect in how the wording between the two. I would say 7. Got it. Well suited. Ooh. I would say like inventory tracking is probably where it's well suited. Where it's not well suited, I would say extremely early research data that doesn't quite have like a, how do you say it, like a formalized schema, right? If things are constantly changing, it's hard for and like Quickbase to like kind of keep up with. It's also more like you just gotta know what you're working with, right? So the very early research is like hard to capture in there. I would say yes, we have. What? I'm new to the field, so this is mainly the product I've been working with, other than maybe Python, like a ORM, object relationship mapper called Django. Other than that, yeah. I would say it's still early. We're still rolling it out, so it's too early to say. Well, we're still in the midst of like rolling out to like kind of like the rest of the company, so we haven't kind of hit that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Are you
I believe
happy?
so. I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. For the most part, I would say there's a couple of things that it can probably like a couple of features I wish were a little better are like testing. So like the sandbox is a little not a true sandbox environment when you're actually using it, other than like for basic schema changes. I would say another thing is pipelines. When you want to test pipelines, when you create a sandbox, the pipelines don't carry over. You have to remap all of them again. So it does take a lot of extra time to rebuild everything, or at least like repoint them to a development. Yeah. No, yeah, I wasn't involved. No, I don't think it ever does. Yes, I mean, I think so, yeah.